All right, so I'm going to do a few practice problems and kind of walk you through them while I'm trying to go through them. Look at the problem, see if you can do it on your own, and then check back with me. First one, it might be easier to watch me do it, and then I'll do a few after. I'll go through a few of each different type of problem. But here we go. So this is a 20 drop set. So 20 drops makes 1 milliliter. And in this problem, I'm going to say we want to get 30 mils per hour. So anybody with hypertensive stroke or CHF. So to get it, you're going to end up wanting to get the drops per minute and drops per second. But for now, we'll start off just doing, it's easier to get the drops per minute first to try and avoid confusion. So you set it up just as so, with the drops over the milliliters over hours, and then you add in 1 hour over 60 minutes, because obviously there is 60 minutes in an hour. So basically, whenever you're trying to do these problems, always just look at the opposites. So you have on the top row, you have hours and milliliters, which correlates to milliliters and hours on the bottom. So look for anything like that. You're always going to have one that you can, or a couple that you can cross out. So the units of hours are gone because they cancel out. Same with milliliters, they cancel out. They're completely gone. Now, all you're left with is drops and minutes. So you can go, and it's easiest for me just to write out the drops and minutes first so I don't lose track of that later on in the problem. And now you kind of have a lot of big numbers here. So you look and see if you can simplify anything. So you look at the top and the bottom and you see 30 can go into 60. How many times does 30 go into 60? Well, 30 goes in twice, but 30 is the smallest number, so it gets reduced to 1. 60 is the largest number, but 30 goes into 60 twice, so 2. I could have done that with the 20, but since this 30 is larger, I decided to use that. If I decided to go with the 20, it would go into 60 3 times, so I would have put a 3 down here instead and a 1 up there instead. But nonetheless, I use a 30. So I have 20 times 1 times 1. When you cancel out units, you don't cancel out the number with it, just like here. Just the unit gets canceled out. And then you can use other numbers to cancel out numbers, like we did with the 30 and the 60. But here, so you have 20 drops, 20 times 1 times 1. That would be 20. I didn't even realize that wasn't even in the picture. But 20 over what is the question? So there should have been a 1 here. I'm sorry I didn't put the units. The number. So 1 times 1 times 2. 20 drops every 2 minutes. That can further be simplified into what? Oh, well, I should have simplified it back here. But here, I could have simplified this. I have another thing that can go into here. So how many times does 2 go into 2? Once. It's the smaller number, so it gets reduced to 1 or whatever I could have reduced it to. If it didn't go into 20 perfectly, it would have been a different situation, but it does. So 1, and how many times does 2 go into 20? It is 10 times. So I kind of messed up here, but that's all right. So 20, instead of 20, it would be 10 drops. Oh, shit. Per 1 minute. But you're not done there. You also want to get drops per second. So you slide this over. And now think about, what do you want to do? We don't want minutes there. Instead of minutes, we want seconds. And how do we cancel out units? By putting something opposite. So if I have a denominator that I want gone, then on the other side, the numerator should be the same unit, because you do cross cancellation. So minutes, 1 minute, and how many seconds are in 1 minute? 60. So again, cancel out the minutes. And what am I left? Well, again, I can simplify here. So 10 is a smaller number. How many times does 10 go into 60? 10 goes into 60 6 times. So you do 10 divided by 60, 6. And then here, what do we use to get 60 down to 6? We use 10. So 60 divided by 10 is 6. 10 divided by 10 is what? It is 1. So 1 times 1, well, first off, drops per second. And what are we left with? 1 over 6. 1 drop every 6 seconds. So you would set the drop rate to only do 1 drop every 6 seconds and you're going to get there. Now, trying to think of another problem we can do. I'll give you another fairly simple one. So we'll do 60 drops set per mil, parentheses like Gary wants, and we'll do 30, we'll do 60 mils. Did 30 mils last time. So 60 mils per hour. And what are we trying to find here? We're hopefully going to eventually get to drops per second, but first you can get drops per minute. But on this one, we'll do it all together in one to show you that aspect of things. So also try this problem before I finish it to kind of gauge yourself on if that really did help or if you do need more help with that. And I can try explaining it to you a little bit better if I miss some things or you have some questions that arise from that. So what do we want? 1 hour, 60. So we want to get it into minutes. So 1 hour over 60 minutes to try and cancel out this hour. But to make this all simpler, or if it's easier for you to do it this way, but for some people it's easier to do it in this way, but to put it all in one, we could do 1 minute over 60 seconds. In this problem, we just did that in a separate step. In this problem, we're going to do it all together. So I put the minute on top to try and cancel out the minute on the bottom, like that. The hour up here cancels out the hour down here, and the milliliters up here cancels out the milliliters down here. So what are we left with? We can go through this problem. The minutes are gone, the hours are gone, and the milliliters are gone. What are we left with? Drops and seconds. So GTT, drops over seconds. So up here, we have a lot of big numbers, but it's simple. So what can we cancel out? Here, I made it a little bit easy, but pretty much everything. So 60 and 60, 60 divided by 60, 1. 60 divided by 60, 1. 60 divided by 60, 1. 60 divided by 60 is 1. Where are we left with? 1 drop per 1 second. There we go. All right. And since that one was so easy, let's get another one. I'll do a 15 GTT per mil and 60 mil per hour. 1 hour over 60 minutes, and the 1 minute over 60 seconds. Parentheses instead of just little multiplication symbols because it makes it a little bit more organized, but nonetheless. Again, what are we going to cancel out here? What would you cancel out? Try to do this problem before I finish again, but what would you cancel out? So mils, mils, hours, hours, minutes, minutes. Left with GTT over seconds. So what can we cancel out here again? Actually, you know what? Let's add a little bit more math into this. I'm actually going to make this 30 mils. Okay. So what can we cancel out here? 30 mils and 60 mils. And 30 and 60. How many times does 30 go into 60? 30 divided by 60, 2. 30 divided by 30, 1. And now we still have 15 and 60. How many times does 15 go into 60? That would be 4 times. So 60 divided by 15 equals 4. 15 divided by 15 is 1. So what are we left with? 1 times 1, 1 drop, 2 times 4 every 8 seconds. What else? Let's do some bigger numbers. Let me do 20 drops per mil times 360 mils per hour. And 1 hour over 60 minutes. 1 minute over 60 seconds. Cancel everything out again. Let me fold this down actually so it's easier to see on the camera. Cancel everything out again. Milliliters, milliliters, hours, hours, minutes, minutes. Left with drops per second. I will say on questions where it specifically just asks you for drops over minutes or it asks you for drops over minutes and drops over seconds, it's easiest just to do it in 2 separate phases. So if the question is asking you for drops per second and drops per minutes, just do this first, and then you can take the drops per minute like we did here and do that formula after you find the drops per minute. But if it's just asking you for drops per second and you want to do it all at once and that's easier for you, just go ahead and do it like that. But nonetheless, here we go. So 60 divided by 20, what does that get you? Also I will say it's much easier to do it like this, but if there's some like wonky numbers and some problems and you can't really physically divide it very well right off the rip, you can do it in the end. But most of the time you're going to get some numbers that you can't do it here. But when you start doing things that are going to result in decimals on the top, wait until the end, I guess. Like we had that one that ended in 15 over 2. It's easier just to do that here and then just do 15 divided by 2 is whatever. So, or 7.5 drops per seconds, whatever that answer was on the problem we did in class on Thursday. But here. 60 divided by 20 is what? 3. 20 divided by 20 is 1. Now, let's with this. We have the larger number on the numerator side this time, and the lower number on the denominator side this time. So that's going to change things up a little bit from these normal types of problems we're used to seeing. So the larger number is going to be on top. So you're going to take 60 and put it into 360. 360 divided by 60 is what? 6. And then 60 divided by 60 is what? 1. Now, you look at this problem again, and there's still things you can cancel out. We still have 6 and 3. 6 divided by 3 is what? It's 2. 3 divided by 3 is what? 1. Now, we get to the end. 2 drops per 1 second. 1 times 2 and 1 times 1. 2 drops every second. And that is it for this video.